are a lot of reasons why we needed some kind of model or some kind of representation of the pellet mill that was outside the feed mill. No matter when the student went into the feed mill to see the real pellet mill, it could be working, it could be not working, it could be under maintenance. So the experience they had with the machine was pretty random.
A feed mill is a facility where we make food for animals. So we bring in grains such as corn, wheat, and soybeans and mix them with nutrients such as vitamins and minerals and other feed additives to make specific diets for the different species that we're feeding.
So we'll manufacture feed for poultry, which would include both chickens and turkeys, for swine or pigs, and for cattle. So when we're talking about teaching equipment to people, we have usually one of two problems. Number one, we can't get them into the physical facility, so we need to show them something when they can't be present on site. Or number two, a lot of our equipment, when it's operating, obviously has to be closed, and so we can't see inside of it to see what's really happening.
The students are using an iPad and they can visualize the equipment on the outside, and then they can see an X-ray view that shows all the moving parts on the inside. They can also move around the equipment, which gives them different angles, different views of how the machine works, opening and shutting the door and seeing different hotspots that provide information.
As the team, we come together and start asking questions and kind of try to understand what the challenges are and what's really important for the students to get. So it may just be an illustration of the pellet mill, right? So it just could be a flat piece of paper that could show what the machine looks like. But there were moving parts, right? So it needed to be something more than that. So maybe an animation, but there seemed to be more parts that we need to see at the same time. So the result of that was that decided a 3D model would be the best answer. And then being able to interact with that was also important. So AR seemed to be a really good fit for what they were asking for. One of the other questions that we needed to kind of ask from the faculty is how the student's going to interact with the piece too, right? Is it going to be something they want the students to interact with inside the feed mill? Is it something they want to take home? Is it something they want to do together inside a classroom?
My role in this project was to develop the 3D models for the AR application and then to bring them into the technology we were using to develop the AR application and then write all the code that made it work. We had to go to the feed mill itself and take literally hundreds of photos of this feed mill from all around it. The pellet mill is a very complex piece of machinery, had lots and lots of pieces, and with that it took me about 2 months to model the entire thing.
Ben's gone away and started building the 3D models. So my role is kind of switching over to think about user interface or how the student is going to interact with the model. And then started kind of exploring platforms for AR. So it was important that it was accessible to the student. It was important that we were able to get in there and create it and fix it as needed.
We exported that into the AR studio that we were using, which was Zapper. And that involved like exporting the 3D model, making sure that once everything was imported, animations were playing correctly, everything was positioned correctly, everything was the same size relative to each other.
At a certain part of the process, we're able to add all the buttons on top of the models and really start testing out, like, does it work?
And when I did have things working, I'd be like, okay, now I want other people who haven't been staring at this for days and weeks on end to try it out and make sure that it makes sense.
So when we bring groups of students into the mill now, we can have them get their own devices or our stationary feed mill iPads so they can view the equipment in their own space away from the noises that the pellet mill is making.
The AR experience really seems to help students visualize what's happening inside these pieces of equipment, and they can, in some cases, zoom in and see the different components in a way that they obviously can't if they're not in the facility, and even if they can't come to the facility, now they have that experience.